course, I'm happy to show you anything in the process, answer any questions and everything like that. And yeah, I'm not really in the mood, but I'm never gonna be in the mood. So I guess I just gotta get started. So that's what I'm doing. And I could be in a worse mood or worse. I'm not feeling like I'm gonna fall asleep and just wanna crawl under the blanket right now. Even though I could do that, I wouldn't mind, but you know. Hi there. Who's that? Is it John? Yes, welcome, John. A little coffee. Mm. So yeah. Let's get started, shall we? Oh, and let me set it to live chat. Okay, here we have our gator rod. It's also gonna be a nice conger and whatever rod, really. How have you been? Turn. Yeah, that's a 20K Saltiga. It is actually the 20K P, which they did not sell how it was, but I got the 18,000 P and got a 20K spool. And this reel on a different rod has caught me my biggest ever conger and has also caught me two or three. No, the reel has only caught 2 gators so far. So yeah. Somewhere here I put the reel casing. There it is. I'm gonna put on this bad boy now. And of course that's also gonna be a nice combo for some European catfish and stuff like that. And I will redo this splice loop because there were some issues. Like not really issues, but different story. I have back spliced this braid for quite the long piece, and here at the very end it jumped out a bit, so I'm gonna redo that. But not sure if I'm. Okay. Yeah, I didn't make it to Turnus. I just saw he was live when I was already gonna go live. So. Oh yeah. Actually, let's get the rod protection over it as well. And this is an uptight split rod, so you can take it apart. Here is a grip, which means it acts almost like a one piece, but it is a lot shorter. Which for anything that's past like 6 foot is, in my opinion, the best way to have a rod. Because it's still short enough to be transported almost anywhere, and you still get some really good action. And yeah, now we have it. And that's gonna go actually behind the camera for now, storing all the rods that I'm thinking of using soon. They're sealed for saltwater, but still be careful. Exactly. That's also what I do and what I tell people. Like, if you're gonna fish on the sand, of course, buy a Stahl or just get a Zaragoza. Because Shimano's rubber seals, they do better with sand and debris than Daiwa Max seals. And of course, there's a whole Max Seal service steel, which I would only take that route for true high-end reel, not for. I wouldn't get a $200 Max Seal reel. That's just going to be a pain in the butt. That rod actually is an Okuma Asaris, which I got for $80. It does have Fuji Alkanite guides on it and a pretty nice feel. Like, it feels better than most of my $200 rods. Of course, there's rods a lot better than that, but I needed for my trip to Brazil. I needed another heavy rod, and that was the only one I could afford at the time. And so far, I'm impressed with how good it is, especially for how little money it costs. Like I've never had a rod this high quality for that little money. But at some point, I'm still gonna have an $800 rod in that is like a heavy stick baiting popping rod in a similar length. Because of course, the high-end Japanese rods, different animal, but the rod works fine, and for and it feels really nice. Like it feels a lot more high quality than. Let me grab a rod that has actually worse quality guides on it and costs $150, and it is also very short, which I like. I love that rod actually, but it has kind of fallen out of favor with me after I used that one. Okay, 1 second, on. With this one, nope. This right here. This could be it. Yes, it's a ProCat boat, which is a nice rod. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. It just doesn't have. It's not as crisp, and it is more. It bends more, so you're probably gonna be more comfortable at heavy drags. But it is, if you want to bend this rod all the way, the guides don't allow for you to use it on a conventional reel because it will flex to where the line touches a blank if you give it like a 90-degree bend, let's say. And yeah, it is definitely more flexible, but it feels cheaper, even though it is a lot more expensive. It is also made by a much smaller company, so that probably has to do with they have to make it more expensive. And it is a rod that I really do hold dear and that I have caught a lot of great fish on. But I'm not sure how that's going to be going forward. If that might just become a backup rod. Then again, now feeling it in my hand again, I understand why I like it. It is a nice rod with nice feedback and everything. Well, I'll have to see it in practice how it goes. And this rod is pretty powerful. Like I have fished 40 pounds of drag or 45 pounds of drag on this rod, and I wasn't lowering it. I was like having the rod flexed completely and could pump against 45 pounds of drag, which is close to the limit of the rod, but I've done that and it was fine. It had more to do with getting enough courage to bend the rod that far, but the rod took it like a champ. But yeah, that's the rod I used before. And let's see, going forward. Oops. And probably I might wait for Alan Hawk's review on it, but I'll probably get the new 25,000 size Saltiga to test it myself. Even though I do think they're uglier than the old Saltigas. Like the new ones, the 2025 model is not a huge fan of their look. They should have just kept the old look, but whatever. There's more important things in a fishing reel. And since it is new size and they have those new kinds of drag washers that are full metal drag washers, which would be interesting to see. So yeah, you never know. And they do have an even bigger gear ring now, which the old one was already colossal. Just got another pan rod and reel. That's nice. What is it, a conventional or spinning setup? And of course, which one? Like I gotta admit, I'm not as big of a pen fan as I used to be. Like to me, pen used to be the end all be all. I've since gotten away from that, but they still make some pretty good stuff. Yeah. Most of the reels don't put out, well, the spinning reels, yeah, but the conventionals don't quite put out the drag I want to have. But that's me being me. That's not, yeah. And having, I'm a crazy guy, in case you haven't noticed. So, what I ask for my tackle is stuff most people don't. So, yeah. And I do fish heavier line than most, so I can also make use of drags. Drag numbers most people can't. Okay, how am I even gonna go about this? Okay. You know what? Let me get my rod tube out of it. Oh, there's still shit in here. Oops. Yeah. Nice piece of stainless steel pipe. Piece of a rod my dad broke and never replaced. Nice. And what else? I'm just gonna empty it out on the bed. Yeah, we have my 30 wide Kyra in here. Well, they call it a 30, but it is a 30 wide. Spinning Pursuit 4 and Battle 6000 reels. That doesn't sound bad. Yeah, here's a Kyra 30 or 30 wide. Yeah, it is a widest. You can clearly see. Even though they don't call it a wide, it is. And yeah. Get a cover to protect the bail. So let's get the protector back over it. All right. Looks like you can just insert a spool of line. You mean on this reel, or what do you mean? I mean, it is not filled near to where I would use it to fish normally, unless I want a lot of drag output. Then I would keep it on a lower line level like this, because filled like this little Machaira 30, which puts out officially 55 pounds of drag, it's gonna put out 70 pounds, no problem, if the spool isn't filled all the way. Well, that can be a reason to not completely fill your reels. It's so big and looks like a new oh, that's what you mean. That's, yeah, I mean, I still have my 50 laying around somewhere here. Where is my 50 actually? Good question. I'm definitely gonna find it, but I might not make it make a lot of sense to spend time looking for it. Let's just put it in here. Nope. Yeah. But somewhere laying around here in this room is also my 50, but I'm definitely gonna get some 80s and 130s too. I would like to give the Avid TRX 80 whites 3 speeds a try. I've heard some mixed stuff about Avid, but I have one HXW Raptor 3 speed, and that reel is, from what I can tell so far, it's a dream of a reel. I'm probably I probably will grease the drag washers because Avid doesn't do that, but other than that, and the screws that you use to attach the clamp, they touch the line. They're too long. That's bad design. They would have needed to be cut a bit shorter. But other than that, the reel cranks like an absolute dream. And yeah, like at 40 pounds of drag or something, I can still crank in the lowest gear on the 3 speed, which is something at a full spool, which is something that my 50 watt Machaira struggles with, which has an even lower low gear. So that 3 speed 80 wide would be a very sick shark reel and tuna and marlin reel and stuff like that. Everyone there, yeah, they do also have a lot of, and they do get a lot of hate. But I heard, and I did hear a lot of bad stuff about from people that I don't really trust about the 130s. I do also have someone I trust who recommends them, but he doesn't fish anywhere close to the drags I use. So he never has truly, for him, reeling in his rates is a bigger deal than fighting a fish. Bigger test for the tackle. So that's not how I fish. But a 3 speed 80 wide, that ring thing is gonna have all the power of 130, but just less line capacity. That's a disadvantage. But since I am planning a lot of travels, having an 80 wide, it's just gonna be like 4 pounds lighter, which is a big deal for air travel. So that is why I think that reel for me could be worth a lot over a 130. What do you think of small, short? What is short for you? Like 4 feet or like 6 foot long? Like for me, 6 foot is a short jigging rod. Well, it's a short rod and it's a jigging rod. But of course, 6 feet for a jigging rod is normal. I like them generally for what they like for boat fishing and even also for bank fishing if you don't need to cast far. 5 foot, that is pretty damn short. Then again, if you're doing like high speed jigging, you don't want something very long, or your arm is gonna fall off. So it's gonna be very easy to fight fish most of the time. I don't know if it's as much fun as on longer rods, but it can be. It can be fun. So use them for what they're useful for, and use like I have used a jigging rod. Actually, I broke the tip now, but that was my oh, sorry, but I still have guarantee on it, so I'm gonna get it replaced. Which is a 6 foot jig, or it's actually less than 6 foot. It's 1 meter 73, so that's what like 5'8" or something, 5'9", I think 5'9". This rod, I've used this with up to 30 wides, conventional reels, and also with some bigger spinning reels. But like I would say up to a 14K spinning reel is nice. And this rod has like, once you have the trust to bend this rod till it doubles over and bends into the grip, you can move some weight with a rod like this. It definitely has its place. And you could even use this as a shark rod if you know how to use it properly. Strapped on in a harness and everything. I have done that before, and I've pumped against 70 pounds of drag very comfortably. But it's something you have to get used to, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. So yeah. I do also enjoy some longer rods, but I'm trending towards shorter rods as a whole. Like rarely, I don't really see a point in rods over 9 feet nowadays. Yeah, okay, definitely. Well, okay, maybe up to 10 feet in certain situations, but I don't really see a point in going over 10 feet. And yeah, a lot of the times, even that is more than you need, really. And and I have found that even with 9 foot rod, a lot of times you can barely reel down. If you need to bring in a fish fast, you can barely reel down fast enough. So that would be an advantage, that you have shorter pumps on a shorter rod, even when you're at full speed. But of course, if you need to clear some space, then a bit more rod length has its advantages for sure. Anyway. Make sure I didn't miss any comments. Nope. Everything's still there. Okay. actually a rod that I caught my first really big conger on was maximum 5 feet long. It was a short boat rod. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit tired. Probably easy to see. Or here. I could just maybe push the box under the bed. Let's go. Here it won't. Nope, it won't. Okay, never mind. In a grouper fishing off Florida pier video, they carefully lifted it 20 foot with a pier net and then threw it back down by. Yes, John. Exactly what I always think when people use a pier net, or like, I know that as a wall net or, but yeah, like with a pier net, you're gonna lower your fish back down if it is more than a couple feet, or definitely if it's more than 10 feet. And especially if it's a bigger fish, but even with smaller fish, they can die. And you can also build yourself like a hook device that you could hook the fish onto, to basically like a gaff with a weight at the bottom that the fish won't fall off even if it wriggles around on the way down, but as soon as you let loose, the weight makes it slide out of the fish. That is also something that I'm definitely gonna get myself or build myself for the next time I'm gonna be bridge fishing in Norway, to be able to release the smaller fish. Conger eel is on the list of do not eat fish. They're in the Portuguese market by me, about 4 feet long. That's a bit on the small side anyway. But I'm not sure if is it European conger though, or American conger? I know they look really similar, but. And why? For mercury levels, or why are you not supposed to eat them? From what I read, at least, they're actually not all that endangered. And in a lot of places, they are the last remaining fish that is you can still catch easily, even from shore, the last of the bigger ones. But, or is it about Ciguatera poisoning? I mean, we don't have issues with that yet in Europe. Maybe you get it in the Canary Islands. There it has slowly started to become a thing, but in the Mediterranean, it's still almost unheard of. I mean, I could see them being a bit higher in mercury, maybe. They're definitely delicious if you cook them right. Well, it starts with the cleaning, of course, but yeah, if you prepare a conger eel properly, it's delicious. 4 feet is, I would, unless I have to, I wouldn't keep a 4 foot conger. I would take a 5 foot is a perfect eating size, if you ask me. We get some nice juicy steaks, and they're still gonna have a really nice clean flavor. If it's mercury or other chemicals, the smaller ones are better with less time. Yeah. But like, do you know why they're on the do not eat? You told me their conger eel is on the list of do not eat fish. That is why I was asking you. I mean, I cannot imagine that it's the same. I mean, congers, they live all the way from, well, northern Africa, around the Canary Islands and stuff, to Norway, and even Iceland. So they have a giant European conger, that is. They have a giant range, and I cannot imagine that it's the same thing in everywhere. And it does seem like they have, if there's at least 3 of maybe 4 separate stocks of them. So I cannot. Yeah. And they're poorly studied. That is a fact. And of course, there's other conger species. There's, I don't know, 20, 30 species of conger eels around the world. So I'm not sure if it's even the same one. Yeah, bluefin tuna. I mean, to be fair, the stocks of bluefin, they aren't that great. I mean, there's still a lot of, like, that's in a whole other debate with the bluefin. How bad it really is. Like, I do think it is worse than it looks, actually, because you have those huge bluefin tuna migrations where, like, the stock, like, for 30-40% of all bluefin tuna all adult bluefin tuna from the Atlantic Ocean come together in a spawning area. It's always going to look like there's an endless number, even if you only have a few percent of the historic stock left. But yeah, that is why I do believe that it is true that the bluefin stock really isn't all that good. But I also know bluefin does have plenty of, especially the big ones do have plenty of mercury and other stuff. So maybe that is also a reason why they're on that list. And especially bluefin being warm-blooded, they also burn through a lot more energy to reach the same weight, let's say. So they're gonna accumulate even more chemicals because they just consume a lot more of them. And because being warm-blooded, they need to burn off more energy. And swordfish scientists were doing species counting that there are hardly any young swordfish around. Yeah, that sucks. I know the Atlantic mako stock is also not doing good. Well, the Pacific one is, apparently, at least the Western Pacific. So that is why I wouldn't keep a mako shark unless I thought it was going to die anyway. If I caught it in the Atlantic, in the Pacific, different story. Of course, high mercury levels, of course. Any larger shark is going to have high mercury levels, at least compared to most fish. But if you eat it on occasion, it's probably not a big deal. But not something probably to eat on a regular basis. They eat non-stop, exactly. But also, I mean, like, for like the number of fish a bluefin has to consume, like let's say a grouper might need 5 to 10 kilos of fish to gain 1 kilo in body weight, while a bluefin tuna might need to consume 15 or 20 kilos because they burn off more calories through their being endothermic, or not really, but like being at least warm-blooded to some extent. So through that energy, higher energy need, maybe it's even crazier than that. But because they need so much more energy, of course, they also can accumulate much more mercury and other stuff per portion size, whatever that size is. But yeah. Hey there, hey Jamie, good to see you. Hammerhead sharks are in decline on the U.S. Atlantic coast, New York to Florida. Really? Uh, I thought, well, most sharks are doing good, but then again, makos aren't either. I could imagine, I don't know, but that all the guys catching hammerheads for sport could have something to do with it, just because hammerheads have such a bad survival rate. And like with most people fight sharks, probably 80% of them at least die. Of course, you can get a hammerhead in and out fast enough that they probably won't die from it. But you need an 80 wide or 130, and you need to 200-pound braid and really need to know what you're doing. I mean, I would also, not a giant hammerhead, but let's say I think a 12-foot hammerhead, I could catch that on my 50 wide, but that would not be a fun fight. I would need one or two people holding me down, and I would lock that drag. And yeah. And you would probably have to pass a rod over to someone who still is full of energy when you need to pump all the fish. Holding it against the pole. Oh, here's my 50 wide. Like this is, for hammerhead country, really probably is too small of a reel, but this would stop a big tiger, I'm sure, and probably most hammerheads, because 85 pounds or 90 pounds at a full spool. So this spool isn't completely full. I'm already going to have 100 pounds of drag at full. I'm not going to say I'm going to, and I can fish that, but I would fish 100 pounds of drag. Actual drag. Like I might have set it to 70 pounds of drag, and then once some line is out, then I'm at 100 pounds of drag. So that can definitely stop some big fish, but of course, a big hammer could empty this reel. Hey, Gemini. Hi, John. Do people eat shark? They have the worst survival rate. Yeah, exactly. Hammerhead, and like, I think you can probably get it to where 80% survive. But that takes... I've done a lot of tests getting my fighting skills up to where I can push drag that most people think is impossible. I've tested it with a scale. I know what I'm doing. Like, I've done freestanding, no harness, 100 pounds of drag on this very reel. I've done that. I can do it. But I can only hold on for 5 minutes before my arms are gonna give out. That is why I need a harness. With a harness, I can get into my groove and be comfortable against the 100 pounds of drag. But it took me a long time to figure out how. And the way most people fight, it would be impossible. So, yeah. And I know many sharkers who say they prefer to play the fish out at maybe 25 pounds of drag. If you play a hammerhead shark at 25 pounds of drag, that fish is dead. Period. That hammer is dead if you play it at 25 pounds of drag and it's a decent size. No chance that fish is going to survive. So, yeah. And with the I know with the makos, it has to do with the longline fishery, being more of an offshore species. At least great whites seem to be making a comeback. That is good to see. Yeah. Hey, Jem. But yeah. Gemini, yes, they eat a few species, but since the mid-70s, people kill more sharks. Yeah. In Japan, certain sharks are thrown back after cutting. Yeah. Not just in Japan, but yeah. Jaws did so much damage to sharks. You can't believe how many sharks, how many millions, no, how many billions of sharks died because of that freaking movie alone. not only that, it is starting to come back, but it also blocked a lot of conservation efforts. Like I think people would have worked a lot harder to at conservation of sharks if they wouldn't have gotten such a bad stigma that they really didn't have before that movie. Not nearly to the degree anyway. So not only did it get did countless sharks get killed just because of that movie, but also there was a lot of lack of conservation effort. It's because people didn't care enough and didn't see them as something worthy of protection. But yeah, I really hope hammerheads are still gonna stick around for a long time. I mean, at least they're not on the level that are near extinction, but who knows where things gonna go. And it is a worldwide species, a great hammerhead. There's like the stocks around Australia, for example. From what I know, at least doing quite a bit better. So they're not going to be gone from this earth, but still need to work on it. And I wanted to catch hammerheads, but I'm more and more leaning towards maybe not. Of course, I'm going to catch hammerheads eventually if I keep shark fishing, but I might not want to purposefully target hammerheads. But still, I'm always going to fish like I would be after hammerheads, because for no other shark do you need tackle this extreme. Because even a great white, you can play them out at lower drags and they are fine. They swim off strong and they survive it great. But a hammerhead shark is gonna die if you don't bring it in and out really freaking fast. I mean, you see how many people still argue to use senators. Penn Senator reel, probably the biggest hammerhead killer out there. Not that it's a bad reel, but it doesn't have the power to bring a hammerhead in fast enough. And half the fishermen can't even fish a senator at max drag. Next story. I mean, to be fair, if I would have grown up in Florida, there's a good chance I would have went after some big sharks with improper gear at some point myself. I did some stupid stuff in the past. I wouldn't do it nowadays. Then again, I would have maybe not. I don't know. There's a good chance I would have learned fast enough before I would have hooked into one of those monsters. I mean, same deal with conger eels, even though they're not that endangered, luckily. But there's also a lot less congers than they used to be. Like, I went closer to what other people were using right before I hooked my PB conger eel. Luckily, just because I didn't have anything else, I was still having a few rods out, and only one would be what I thought I was going to use in the future. Something lighter with especially thinner line, a lighter rod that's a lot more fun. Then I caught a 1 meter conger eel. And it was fun. All right, cool. Then 1 meter 33 hit on the heavy rod. Okay, cool. Would have been more fun on the light rod though. Then 1 meter 73 hit, and gosh, was I glad that I had a 1.5 millimeter, 300-pound cable leader and some 200-pound braid. Because I would have lost that fish on the light setup for sure. no chance I would have gotten that fish out. And to have someone help me with a gaff to climb down, and that fish was rubbing my leader, luckily cable. Almost no one fishes cable over the rocks for, I don't know, 10 minutes. That would have busted pretty much any other leader. And I did have some good frays in the line too, but I was using 130-pound hollow core, but that hollow core tests over 200 pounds, so it's really 200-pound line, and some actual 200, or was it? No, I think actual 200 or 300, whatever. But something that actually holds over 300 pounds as for the first few yards. That was the setup. And yeah, a YouTuber in South Florida poses with every fish for a really long time and carries them back and forth for photos, probably the longest time of anybody. Great. Like, I'm with the guys from Worldwide, what is it? Coastal Worldwide, or formerly Gulf Coast Nation. Do not pose for photos with sharks. Any sharks, but especially hammerheads. Just keep a GoPro running or have your buddy film you with a phone, and then just take screenshots later. And those are your photos. Screenshots. Have a camera running. Don't pose for photos, because that's only going to delay the release. Just keep a camera running. You can still take some screenshots, and you're going to get something that's fine. I've done that before too, when I caught fish on video, and I only had my on live stream, and I only had my phone to film. And yeah, later I went back and took some screenshots. It was fine. But I've gotten a lot more conscious about releasing fish and what I do. Like, I was a lot less conscious about all that stuff in the past. Not gonna lie. I definitely didn't do everything perfect in the past myself either. Then again, I'm in my early 20s and a lot further than a lot of fishermen get in their life when it comes to that stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. So, let's see. It is all shit that has nothing to do with the fishing here, so it can go there for now. And then I can find a place to get rid of all of this. Like getting in the basement or something. All right, no new comments. That's all right. It's all gonna be all right. This is for my cat. Also has not much to do with fishing. Let's make sure. I'm just gonna refresh the chat. Okay, all good. Sometimes it gets hung up, and then I miss a lot of comments. Oh, by the way, I don't like the 20 O's from this batch at least, but these are some catch-all circle hooks, 18 O's, great hooks. They're gonna be great for some halibut fishing and shark fishing where you don't need some biggest hook out there, but for a lot of stuff, that's gonna be a perfect hook. And I'm gonna show you one of the 20 O's, and I'm gonna show you why I like them, like the 18 O's better. These would also be nice for some Greenland shark rigs I'm thinking of going for them Greenland sharks sometime in the next couple of years in Norway. And those are sharks that release perfectly. As you can see, they aren't the same size, these two hooks, but this hook has a bit of an overly long point and it's bent inwards a bit much, even for a circle hook, and it's kind of dull, all of them. They're not really sharp. Which this one, it is still facing in the point, but it is really sharp, it's not as long, and it's not facing in too much. So it is gonna hook up better, in my experience. A circle hook like this shape is gonna hook better. And yeah, it is needle sharp, and that's gonna hook really, really nice. And this is a good size, I would say, for some bigger cast out shark leaders or smaller deployed rigs and sharks that don't grow to gigantic sizes, but still. This could catch a 15-foot shark, yes, but okay, maybe for Greenland sharks, I would even consider going with some bigger hooks, but it would still be fine, probably. And for halibut stuff in Norway, this would also be a really nice hook. And they're cheap. Like, you can get them if you buy in bulk, I think, for like $1.50 a hook. For me, it was $2.25 for a pack of 10, so, or yeah, something like that. So it's like $2.50 a hook, compared to $15 for my BKK Monster Circles, which are my absolute favorite hook. Still a good hook for 10-20% surprise. When you expect to lose some gear, definitely worth going with them, I would say. But yeah, I don't even know why I started talking about this stuff. I'm sorry. Hey, we get some interesting conversations at least. Probably just because I saw the hooks flying around. And some of the tightline braid I'm testing, I'm not a fan yet of tightliner, I must say. I mean, it costs half of Cortland. Cortland is, for me, so far the best hollow core braid out there. And tightline costs half. It is nice that the coloring is great. It stays in there. It doesn't rub off at all. Awesome, but it doesn't splice nearly as much as Cortland does. And I had the line jump out of, like, the inserted piece out of the hollow core a lot more than I had. Like way, way, way more than I had in any other braid, including Cortland, which does this a little bit more than something like JB, but Cortland in total is still the best hollow core I fished. But gotta see. If I have something that is still pretty good for half the price, and they also go to smaller sizes, would still be something to consider. Ever go north for any codfish? Oh, I've caught, yeah, of course. I've caught plenty of cod. I also have, I think, my PB, at least my land-based PB, on my channel. On the shorts channel, Locked Up Jack Shorts. I do have a short of that. Or was it I don't know. But I would have to check. But I know I made a video and I'm pretty sure I uploaded it. Oh, that's a good question, actually. I know I have the video. I'm not sure if I uploaded it yet. But I did catch my PB caught on camera. It wasn't a monster. Just under 3 foot long. But for catching it in relatively shallow water and from shore, I would say it's a nice one. I've hardly ever fished from a boat up there, so my boat PB isn't that much bigger. I actually didn't measure my boat PB at all. That's why I cannot say if it's my absolute PB, the short one or not. Yeah, 84 centimeters. There are some monsters. Yes, they are. Oh, yes, there are. I haven't hooked into any monsters in Norway except maybe the conger eels. You can catch really big congers, but only in southern Norway, and you need very specific spots in what I found in Norway. In most spots, you don't even need to try to catch a conger in Norway. Only well, in Ireland, for example, you can catch them everywhere. In Normandy, you can catch them pretty much anywhere. But especially in Ireland, you can catch, at least in the west coast, you can catch them anywhere. Not the case at all in Norway. Spots where you would think you're definitely going to catch some congers, forget about it. Just forget it. You need very specific spots. There you can catch congers and catch really big ones. Bigger on average than anywhere else I've fished for congers. But it's a lot harder to find where they are. Once you found them, southern Norway is great for big congers and northern Norway for halibut and cod and coalfish. So yeah. All depends on what you're gonna do. Right, one thing I also thought about, and it was just probably be too heavy and not fun, would be to spool my some shark reels with just straight on cable. Get a rod with roller guides and just spool your rod with cable. Or your reel with cable. It would work for sure. You wouldn't really have to worry about cutoffs, but yeah. It would also have chocolate fishing and photos of men with boxers. What's up, Smutty? I actually don't have a BMW. My stepfather, well, ex-stepfather, used to have one as a work car, but yeah, in German we say that BMW stands for Bayerischer Mistwagen, which means like Bavarian crap wagon or dung wagon. That's what it translates to. But yeah. So many cod were caught off Massachusetts, they were almost gone. Then the lobster population went up because cod eats a small lobster. Yeah. I think that is also the time when lobster were really that common of a food. That was probably... And I also know that stories of people in Germany too, catching herring, like with nets, they could net them in masses. That was after the cod had already been decimated and the herring could explode. That wasn't a normal thing, that there would be that many herring. But yeah. And I know there's also something with, I don't remember how the fish are called, but something like a herring in the Great Lakes after the Atlantic salmon stocks and lake trouts were decimated. That they had such masses on prey fish that would in summer would die and lay on the shore, and it would be a terrible smell. I've read about that stuff. But that's because stuff got out of balance. It's not that it would always... That's when you have to be careful about when you hear stories about how many fish there used to be. Were there really that many? Or if they were, then maybe that wasn't always that case. It was just for a relatively short amount of time because something else had already changed. That doesn't mean there didn't used to be more of everything, but yeah, it's not as like that you could just get a bunch of herring, just netting them in the harbor. That wasn't a normal thing ever. It just happened after the cod was mostly fished off. But then they didn't have their main predator anymore, and that they could explode. My old steel toe shoes. Haven't used them in forever. Yep, good old steel toes. Kick someone between the legs with those and it's really gonna hurt. I know a friend who does that on occasion, and I know Jem has an idea of who I'm talking about. Even though they don't directly know each other. If Jem is still here, that is. Well, she still has an idea who I'm talking about, but she would have to hear what I'm talking to for that. Dude, make your bed. That is my guest room. That is my guest room. I'm not sleeping here, okay? This is my fishing room, my everything room. That is everything that is not my bedroom is here, basically. Yeah, storage room, you could say. So there's also by my freezer and my big fridge where I keep my wild game in when I have any. And over here, there's also fishing stuff in there. So yeah, this is not where I sleep on the floor, right? But there's a good chance I will have a friend come over and stay for a while. So that is actually what got me to start cleaning this room up, mainly. So I would be able, once I have the fishing stuff cleaned up, I can get everything off the bed and also off the floor for the most part. But yeah, it is my version of Turner's shed. Like where most other people might have a shed outside, that is what I have. Exactly, right, Smurfy or Smuddy? By the way, I haven't seen Ginger in forever. Have you, Twisted Ginger? She was the one who nicknamed you Smuddy. There's no mattress. There is one on the bed here. Under all the fishing crap. But I don't have a spare mattress here that you could put on the floor, actually, no? And that's what you're asking? I mean, maybe in the basement. Not sure about that. Yeah. Ah, okay, and NJ, okay. Good to hear that she's okay, because I was not seeing her anywhere in months. I was getting kind of worried. I think it's been like 2 months since I heard any sign of life. Guess I'll have to check NJ out sometime. I do get his notifications. I just usually didn't have the time or someone else was on, who I was already in their life. Okay, my cat is at the door. Or are you? Maybe she was scratching somewhere else. Oh. Here we have Pike Leader that is kinked up, but there's still some good parts that I could cut out to build some parts of some multi-hook systems. If you grow out a mustache, you could pass. I don't want to be, and my mustache doesn't really grow out. I can't really grow a mustache. I could have my beard cover my neck if I never shaved it or never trimmed it, but yeah, I can grow a beard, all right, but this is about as high as it goes for me so far. I might come in at some point, but yeah. I made some jokes that I got Turner's beard and he got my mustache or something like that. Takes me forever to grow anything, and I mean anything. Well, at least you want to have one thing that you can get to rise rather fast, right? Luckily, never had issues with that. But yeah, I wouldn't say my hair grows especially fast, but not necessarily slow either. Anywhere. But there are definitely people who grow hair faster than I do, but also people who grow it a lot slower. Like if I was trying to keep my skin smooth everywhere, I have done that in some of my fitness times. Also, to not have like tight clothes shave. I would need to shave everything every other day, or it would get already the hairs were poking out stuff. If I want smooth legs, I would have to shave them like 3-4 times a week. Definitely 3 times a week. So yeah. And from what I heard from others, that's not how often they have to shave. So. For the same result. But I also know people who grow hair faster. Hey, I'm 44 with hypertension. John's face. Right, I've actually never seen John in any of the late night chats. I don't know if he just doesn't comment or if he doesn't go in there. I don't even know if John knows about that. He must know about the dirty side of YouTube. I cannot imagine Sean not knowing that stuff. But yeah. I've never really seen him participate anywhere. Or maybe he goes in under another account. And we don't know it's him. I think most are aware of Nisi's chat. Yeah, true. Nisi definitely. I mean, there's weirder channels than Nisi, but she's up there, kind of. I mean, there were times when even Burko's chat was close to what's talked about in Nisi, just not Burko himself. But I think he was having his fun with it too. But It was just us in the chat who were talking stuff. I'm up since 5 a.m., so I'm not up as late as I used to be. Gotcha. Burko walks the line. Yeah, he does. And I think it has also become more tame since he got monetized. They had like the mods got a bit more strict. I mean, I am a mod on this channel. On my other channel, I don't know if Burko did it on purpose or not, but I'm only a mod on one of my main fishing channels. Like on the Shorts channel, I'm not a mod. On this channel, Locked Up Drag Fishing, I am a mod in Burko's. But yeah, I know the mods are being a bit more diligent nowadays than they used to be. I've seen Burko's 6 times, but I can't type. Gotcha. Sometimes he gets giddy on the choking though. That is true. And don't underestimate Audra. She's like she can get a lot more crazy than she does on Burko's. But she's also always she is really sweet and a lot of fun. I mean, she was the one who started with talking about that she's gonna start an OnlyFans screenshotting when you could see my bare feet for 10 seconds or something. Not OnlyFans, the wiki feeds. She said she's gonna start pimp me out and start a wiki feeds. And yeah, that became a whole thing. Ashley B yesterday was starting to get crazy. Ashley B. Okay, I don't know if I've ever seen her live. I know I've seen her around, but I'll have to check that out. I'm a sucker for the crazy chats. So the one I had to walk away from. Smutty walking away from something. To be fair, yeah, not gonna say any names now, but she did stop going live, by the way. I don't know if it. I think he only went live for like 2 or 3 months, actually. And she had some stuff going on. I think she butted heads with some of the people on YouTube, but I know she also had some of her a couple of her workers get sick, and then Spring work. I don't know if she doesn't have time or if there's another reason, but yeah, that. But to be fair, Nisi's channel gets close to Amanda, I think. Whatever. On the live stream. Oh, or you mean Ashley just started? Awkward. Or you mean you started going live, John? I never seen you live, but if you do go live, then I'm definitely there for it. I forgot her channel name. Yeah, that is what it is. Aquarius is now, I think, was her handle. Like, but she you cannot see. She deleted all of her lives. Well, not all of her lives, but the interesting lives, shall we say, they're all deleted. So you're not gonna find unless she starts them up again. And she said she wouldn't. You never know. She also only has, I think, a couple more years to live at most. She has, I think, a brain tumor that she beat once, but it's coming back, and it's going to be over in a year or 2 now for her. Something like that. So if she comes back, it's only going to be once or twice, or probably another few months over the winter. From what I would guess. Who knows? You never know. But from what I know, that's what would be to expect. Either she doesn't do any of the crazy lives anymore, or she does it over the winter months. And there's not a lot to do. I have really clever, amazing jokes or puns comments that I don't type. I feel like I'm too near. Not Ashley. Okay, yeah, but I have to try to catch her because yeah, I am a sucker for crazy lives. I like I don't go always in under my official channels if it gets too wild. I mean, I don't mind us getting a bit crazy here, but either. So if it's stuff that I would allow on my channel, I'm fine in being there and saying it. But since this channel is kind of business related, I want to keep it semi clean still. But I also want to be allowed to have fun on my own channel. So that's why I'm not gonna be super strict, because if I can't have fun on here, then I'm just gonna be miserable, and I don't want that. But we're not gonna talk about chicken chokers on here either. Probably. So no Nisi Lee talk. Let's say, at least not the wilder nights. Maybe longer. First time I've seen most of the folks was in Fish Tub. For very too many channels where I'm mod, I feel overwhelmed now that work is busier. Too new, yeah. I get that. Like when I'm, and also I do have to say, of course, that's why some people make people mods. But like when I am a mod, when I see a multiple channels live, and I am a mod somewhere, then I'm more likely to go the one where I'm a mod, especially if I know they might need a mod. But I also don't spend as much time in lives anymore. It's still quite a bit, not gonna lie. And I mean, to be fair, most channels have enough moderators. Like they don't. Of course, it's nice if you stop by, but they don't need you to keep the ship running, basically. Hey, right now the only two people in here are mods, so. Of course, I'm still a pretty small channel. That's going to change over time, but yeah. I haven't had to do a lot of moderation activities so far. I actually have homework to do and research for one of them. Do you want to talk about what you have to do, or is that top secret? Yeah, I'm always going to be curious for pretty much anything. Oh, by the way, these spools like these from spinning reels, very useful. Like I got them for like, I think $2 once. And I put some heavy braid on here, then maybe a few feet of mono, so it doesn't get tangled in the cast. Not necessary, but you can do it. And then I like for putting set lines, I just grab the spool, and then with cast it out, and it flies off really nicely. And then I can just tie it off somewhere and have a very handy little set line that you can cast really well without having to strip all the line you're going to cast out off. It also works if the ground is, so you cannot lay the line on there. You can just grab the spool, and then you just, wind it back on by hand. As long as there's no knot in the spool, then not if you hold it tight enough. This is pretty tough to rip out of your hands. And I mean, it's a set line. It's not going to be some expensive stuff you have on there anyway. I'm a plant expert, but not a mod on any gardening or plant channels. Interesting. Yeah, I've done that. People are starting to make fun of those on YouTube. You mean of For set lines, or what do you mean? And of course, there's also these kind of hand rails that have a handle in the middle that you can cast off. They also work really well. I also have a bigger one that's a bit nicer to hold. These are also really nice, and you can retrieve line way faster. The disadvantage, of course, this thing is way bulkier. And like if you want to use it for set lines and maybe don't want to be seen, not as good. If you're going to actually actively use it, then yeah, this is a lot better. Spool fishing hover reels. Everyone making fun of them recently. Haven't seen that. I've honestly seen more of the opposite, but yeah. I mean, it works. I mean, I think it's more fun personally to fish with rod and reel, but I'm not above using that, especially if I'm somewhere and I actually want to catch fish for food. Then hell yeah, I'm doing that. As long as it's legal, of course. But yeah, just know your laws and what you can do and what not, and then why the hell not? I also used to catch quite a lot of fish that the locals couldn't catch when I was walking on some lakes that are really hard to fish. But I was walking on there with a headlamp at night on some rocks, and it would have been impossible to use a rod, or almost impossible. But I had a few different set lines like that, or similar to it, already pre-baited in pockets of like a raincoat. And then I would just take the right one for the fish I was seeing out, drop the fish in front, the bait in front of its face, and usually it would eat. And then I could hand line it out of there. I had to use some pretty heavy braid because I broke off mono, even same diameter mono breaks, but heavy braid for the win. Like braid upwards of 80 pounds was the winner, while mono that was thin enough to not be too stiff, forget it. They were breaking it off. Get a small winch from the hardware store and you're good to go. It's a matter for me how you're getting out the air. I mean, if you're a kid and you don't have any money, that stuff way better, and you can catch a lot bigger fish than you can catch with some crappy, cheap rod and reel. And I mean, I've had to hand line some of my biggest fish in because I got tangled somewhere and had to go swimming or diving to get the line past the snag, and then had to hand line them in. I've also fished with broken reels that I could still reel the line in against no resistance, but the drag was broken. So I would reel in, cast, set the hook while holding the spool, and then drop the rod and hand line the fish in. Caught some great fish doing that. If you're stuck somewhere off grid and you cannot get a new reel or your reel repaired, you do what you gotta do. I still caught fish, I still had fun, I still had food. So, all wins in my book. I caught baby trout at night in Washington with a flashlight on my fingers. That is awesome. I have actually caught trouts with bare hands too. Also catfish and some other stuff. Some not gobies, but what's they're called? I think sculpin. I think sculpin is the right thing. Weird name. Maybe it's not the same fish. I would have to check if it's the same species. But some stuff like that I've caught with bare hands, and a couple of other fish here and there, but most of them were lucky catches. With trout and sculpin, it definitely works. With the catfish, it also was a lucky catch. Because with European catfish, it usually doesn't work to noodle them. And I didn't noodle that catfish, but it was small enough I could trap it with my hand against a rock. Yeah. Be back, need food, okay. Gotta keep the motor running, Smutty. Okay, this is trash. But hey, the room does look a lot better. Okay, you guys can't see the floor. That's why it probably doesn't look like it's a lot better. But it is. Definitely is. Anyway, I actually have to go to the bathroom real quick, but I'll be back in a minute. Or gonna watch Sean's first. I just wanted to see which minnows were there while camping. You can't keep the trout really illegal there. Okay, interesting. Like on the native trout, or I know especially, I mean here sometimes too, but especially in the US, if it's considered a game fish or something, even if it's an introduced species, it can be some quite harsh rules against keeping them. But yeah, I'll be right back. Okay. My rod's back as hell. Anyway. Just one. Okay, yeah, native trout. Yeah, okay. I mean, that can make sense, some sense. check a message real quick. Be back in a second. Okay. I can check the rest later, but yeah. Well, something about my cat. No reason to worry all that much for now. No crap. Rover perfectly fine. Loaded looks. Yes, I did. Idiot. Maybe won't be able to fix this with some glue, but I don't think so. There's a couple bucks that I'm never gonna see again. Yeah. So the floor looks a lot better than it did before. Anyway, let's see here. Okay. Let's see if we got any new comments. Chicken. Won't be too long though. Wife wants attention. Okay. There's worse things. A wife who wants your attention. So it's first day there. Anything important we should know about? Yes. Actually, there is an asteroid coming towards the Earth. Hug your wife, make love to her, tell everyone you care about that you love them, because I might have another 30, 40 minutes. You're going to have a few more hours. So right now there is a giant asteroid crashing towards Earth. Oh, and of course, the lottery numbers are gonna be 3, 7, 5, 2, 8, 9. John. John said he needs to find someone's wife. That is if you have a wife. Of course. As long as you don't find Smutty's wife. Unless money believes in sharing is caring, then whatever you like. Don't have my own, I can borrow. I guess. Rent or borrow? Okay, I'm gonna stop. But yeah. I think the worst comment I've been told in my life was you. Youch! That is, I mean, there's. I mean, if that's the worst you have heard, I guess that's not. Well, it depends if you were planning a relationship with that woman. If it was a woman, then yeah, that would suck. I mean, it would also be bad otherwise. Like I don't believe in cheating anyway, shape or form. But yeah. What's in here? Oh, some food, some dry. That's what you call pack bait in the US. But yeah. And then he walked in the door, started calling me after. The I didn't know him, not sure how he got my number either, didn't know. Yeah, like that's a point. Like if you don't know, then I mean that really is on her. If you did know, then I could say, okay, you kind of got yourself into that. But yeah, if you didn't know about that, then. But I'm not gonna do it too much more today, I think. Oh, here we have a bunch of jigs. A lot of good stuff. Those were more expensive than I realized when I bought them. Whatever. Past now. Of course, like a true gentleman, I've had to talk about her. Okay. I mean, right now it's only us. Generally, I would say maybe don't go into details. Like I said, I want to keep my channel semi-clean, but still have fun. It's fine. Especially since you're the only ones here. so might as well. Yeah. Oh man. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys know any about that, but I had some issues with my account. I have two of my Google accounts that I have as set as an owner of this channel. But the one from which I made the channel or transferred, no, the ones from which I made this channel, I cannot go live on it. Don't ask me why. It tells me I don't have 50 subs, even though I have over 150. Then I switched, just thought like, why the hell not? Switched to another where I also have access to this account from, and voila, it works going live. But from the main one, the locked up drag fishing, locked up drag at gmail.com account, nope. It tells me I don't have enough subs to go live, which of course I do. But yeah, from the other one, it worked. No clue why. But it did. Maybe I just have to remove my other channel as a owner and then move it back. A customer talked about husband's time help leaning into her cat loves the trunk. 8 guys gotta run. You should do more lives. Thanks. Likes the Pillsbury Doughboy. Okay, not sure who that is, but that sounds. Into her cat loves the trunk. Yeah, title him MK Life in the book. That would surely get Nisi's attention, Smarty. I know that. I didn't want to get in trouble at work. Yeah. I also would be if a woman kept talking about her husband. I probably would have been. That would just be no thanks. That also just sounds like trouble. Take care. See y'all. See you on those YouTube streets. Exactly, Smarty. See ya, man. I'm sure we will run into each other somewhere. Until we meet again. And yeah. Now, for a second, I can actually move in my fishing gear. Yeah, the bat still looks like crap, but whatever. And hey, I made it to 6 likes somehow. We had Sean, we had Smarty, we had Jem in here. I think those were all the people that were commenting. But now there's people go around and leave likes. Which sometimes I do as well, not gonna lie. I see someone lives, but I don't have the time or nerve to stay in there. A woman's hand poked the Pillsbury Doughboy's chubby stomach, and he giggled really cute on TV for decades. Part of Americana Pillsbury biscuit commercial. Ah, okay. Yeah, that's not something I'm familiar with. But yeah. This suitcase is actually not mine. This is my uncle's. To be fair, he did borrow it to me. I'm gonna get that on top of my fridge, I think. It's already crap on top, but then we have some more free floor space again. I will have to sort through these tackle boxes here and at least get the stuff out that is like specifically saltwater gear. That is stuff I can get completely out. But I don't think I'm getting old today. I don't know if is that a saying in English too? You don't think you're gonna get much older today or something like that, which means yeah, I'm probably gonna go to bed soon, basically. Or at least I'm not gonna do much else. And what time it is? Okay, it's 7 in the morning. Yeah, it would also be time to eat something for me. I'll probably end this live in a little bit. I have some cat treats in here. That's good to know. Always useful if you have a cat, at least. You know, you gotta keep your kitty happy. It's also another word I could use. Should make it funnier. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how YouTube feels about that word. PUSSY. Oh, yeah, it is gonna be my. I do want to make a business out of this channel. That's why I'm a bit more careful than I would be otherwise. What was that for? Yeah, that is those are cat little pieces. Actually, I bought some dried chicken. Was this chicken or duck? Not sure. Breast, and I cut it into some fine slices for the cat. So I have a lot more treats to use when I train her. Because yeah, I do training with my cat, and she does always need some treats, of course, for training. But I don't want to feed her too many treats. So I cut them into smaller pieces so I don't have to give her a lot, and it still has almost the same reward effect. She's still gonna do the same thing for a small treat as she would for a bigger one. So yeah. long as she's getting treats, she's happy. Another cat toy. I will use some more cat toys with her again, where she has to work a bit to get her food. The problem is she tends to get too smart for those and just eat it like it's nothing. And then it's like, okay, whatever. I can just give you the food straight up. If it's not even a challenge for you. But try to make it work for it. Yeah. Okay. And by the way, this one suitcase here, this is where I keep all of my, most of my line in it. That's another thing. That's maybe something I'm gonna do next time. Get all of my lines sorted out. Wait, let's get this chair over here again. And yeah. Okay, I think I'm gonna end it here, everyone. So thank you very much for watching. I'm just gonna go by the nickname Dundee from now on. So you can still call me Marlon if you already know me, but yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Locked up / Dundee out. See y'all soon. Bye.